If you're a beginner and you're confused about DevOps certifications, you're not alone. Most learners start with the same question. Should I learn AWS first, Docker first, Kubernetes first, Jenkins first, or should I directly take a DevOps certification? And this confusion is very normal because DevOps is not one single tool and it's not one single exam. It's a complete career path where you learn how software is built, tested, deployed, monitored, and improved. And this roadmap matters a lot right now because DevOps is not just a trend anymore. The DevOps market is estimated to be around $19.7 billion in 2026 and is estimated to reach USD $51.43 billion by 2031, which clearly shows that companies are investing heavily on faster software delivery, automation, and reliable systems. So in this video, we're not going to randomly list certifications, we're going to understand the correct order, what you should be learning first, which certification makes sense at each level, and what mistakes beginners should avoid, and how you can build a proper DevOps career path step by step. So now that we know why this roadmap is important, let's understand what DevOps actually means in simple words. So now let's quickly take a look at what we will cover in today's session. What DevOps means. We will understand DevOps in simple, beginner-friendly words. Why certifications matter. We will see how certifications support your DevOps career. Skills before certifications. We will cover the basics that you need to learn first. Cloud fundamentals. We will understand why choosing one cloud platform matters. CI/CD and automation. We will then see how code is tested, built, and deployed automatically. Docker and containers. We will then learn how applications are packaged for smooth deployment. Kubernetes Basics. Then we will understand how containers are managed at a scale. Terraform and infrastructure as code. Then we will see how infrastructure can be created using code. Monitoring tools. Then we will cover why Prometheus and Grafana are useful in DevOps. Certification roadmap. We will look at the right certification path for beginners. Course promotion. We will see one relevant Simplilearn program for this roadmap. Now, before we move ahead, let's test your DevOps basics with a quick question. Which tool is commonly used to package an application into containers? Is it A, Git, B, Docker? Is it C, Jenkins, or is it D, Terraform? Let us know your answers in the comments below. So before we talk about certifications, we need to clear one basic thing. DevOps isn't just about a job title, and it's not just a tool like Jenkins, Docker, or Kubernetes. So DevOps is a way of working where development teams and operation teams work together so that software can be released faster, safer, and with fewer problems. So AWS describes DevOps as practices, tools, and working methods that help organizations deliver applications and services at a high speed. So now let us understand this with a simple example. Imagine a company has built a food delivery app. So developers write the code, but that code has to be tested and packaged and even deployed to servers, monitored and updated regularly. So earlier, this process used to take a lot of time because every team worked separately. Developers would say the code is ready and the operations team would say, but it's not working properly on the server. So DevOps solves this gap. It connects coding, testing, deployment, cloud monitoring, and even automation into one smooth process. So when people say DevOps engineer, they usually mean someone who understands how code moves from a developer's laptop to a real environment where users can actually use the application. So now that we are clear about what DevOps means, let's move on to the most important beginner question. Should you focus on skills first or certifications? So now this is where many beginners make a mistake. They search for the best DevOps certification and they start preparing for an exam, and then they realize that they don't understand Linux commands, Git, networking, cloud basics, or even how applications are actually deployed. So remember this clearly. Certifications are useful, but only when the foundation is strong. So before choosing any certification, you should build a basic DevOps skill set. So start with Linux because many servers run on Linux. Then learn basic commands like creating files, checking apps, changing permissions, installing packages, and managing processes. After that, learn Git because every modern software team uses Git to manage code. Then understand basic networking concepts like IP address, DNS, HTTP ports, and firewalls. You don't need to become a networking expert, but you should also understand how applications communicate. And when these basics are clear, you can move on to scripting. So for this, you can use Python or Bash, and that's enough for beginners. After that, you can learn cloud basics because most DevOps work today happens on platforms like AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud. Then you can slowly move on to CI/CD, Docker, Kubernetes, Terraform, and monitoring. So the simple rule here is this. Do not collect certificates just to add them to your resume. Use the certifications as proof that you now understand the skill. So now that we know that skills always come before certifications, let's start with a roadmap from the beginner stage. So the first stage is foundation. So at this level, your goal is not to become an expert. Your goal is to understand the basic language of DevOps and cloud. So this is where beginner level certifications like AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner, Microsoft Azure Fundamentals, or Google Cloud Digital Leader can help. So for example, AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner validates a foundational understanding of AWS cloud services and terminology. AWS also states that this is a good starting point for people with no prior IT or cloud experience and who want to begin a cloud career. So this is why foundation certifications are useful for beginners. So this helps you understand what cloud really means, what servers are, and what storage is, and what databases are, and what security basics are, and how billing works. So if you skip this stage and directly jump into Kubernetes or Terraform, everything will feel confusing. So at this stage, you should also build one small project. For example, create a simple website, push the code into GitHub, and host it on a basic cloud server. So this small project will teach you how code, server, domain, and deployment connect together. So the first certification path for a complete beginner should be a Cloud Foundation certification. So once you're comfortable with cloud and DevOps basics, the next step is to choose one cloud platform and go deeper. So now that your basics are clear, the next step is choosing one cloud platform. So this is very important because many beginners try to learn AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud together. And that sounds impressive, but practically it creates confusion. As a beginner, choose one platform first. So if your target companies use AWS, start with AWS. And if your companies or job market are more Azure-based, go with Azure. And if you're interested in Google Cloud roles, then Google Cloud is also a good option. So the point is not to learn everything at once. The point is to become confident in one platform first. So cloud is important in DevOps because companies are no longer running everything on local machines. Applications are hosted on cloud servers, databases are managed on cloud, files are stored on cloud, and deployments are automated on cloud. So a DevOps engineer must understand how cloud services work. So if you choose AWS, you can move from AWS Cloud Practitioner to AWS Solutions Architect Associate, SysOps Administrator Associate, or Developers Associate. And if you choose Azure, you can move from AZ900 to AZ104 or AZ204 before going to AZ400. And if you choose Google Cloud, you can start with the basic cloud learning and then later move on to Google Professional Cloud DevOps Engineer certification. And the key point here is this: don't learn cloud only for the exam, learn it by creating small projects. Create a virtual machine, set up a web server, upload the files into cloud storage, and then create a database and connect your application. So once you're comfortable with one cloud platform, it becomes much easier to understand DevOps tools like CI/CD pipelines. So now that we've chosen one cloud platform, let's move on to the next important stage, which is automation and CI/CD. So now we enter the heart of DevOps, CI/CD. So CI means continuous integration and CD means continuous delivery or continuous deployment. So in simple words, CI/CD helps teams automatically test and release code whenever developers make change. So let us take this simple example. Imagine 5 developers are working on the same application every day and they're adding new code. So without CI/CD, someone has to manually collect the code, test it, build it, and even deploy it. So this can cause many delays, confusion, and mistakes. But with CI/CD, whenever code is pushed into GitHub, a pipeline can automatically test it, build it, and deploy it. So this is why CI/CD is such an important DevOps skill. It reduces manual work and helps teams release updates faster. So tools like Jenkins, GitHub Actions, GitLab CI/CD, Azure Pipelines, and Circle CI are commonly used here. So as a beginner, you don't need to learn all of them at once. Start with one tool. Jenkins is a classic DevOps tool and GitHub Actions is beginner friendly if you're already using GitHub. So at this stage, your goal should be simple. Take a small web application, push it into GitHub, create a pipeline, run a basic test, and build an application and then deploy it. So once you understand how a pipeline works, DevOps will start making much more sense. So now that we understand how code can move automatically from development to deployment, let us move on to the next stage, which is Docker and containers. So now let's talk about Docker. Docker is one of the most important tools for beginners in DevOps. But don't worry, the idea is really simple. Docker helps you package your application with everything it needs to run. Let's say your app works on a laptop, and when you move it to another server, it breaks. So maybe the server has a different version of Python, Java, Node.js, or some missing dependency. Docker solves this problem by creating a container that behaves the same everywhere. So instead of saying it works on my system, teams can say it works inside the container. So this is one of the biggest reasons that Docker became so popular in DevOps. At this stage, you should learn Docker images, containers, Dockerfile, Docker Compose, ports, volumes, and basic networking. You should also practice building an image and running it locally. Then push that image to a container registry like Docker Hub or even Cloud Container Registry. For beginners, the most important thing is not just getting a Docker certificate. The most important thing will be able to package and run an application properly. So many DevOps roles expect you to understand containers even if they don't directly ask you for a Docker certification. So once Docker is clear, the next natural step is Kubernetes, because Kubernetes helps manage containers at a larger scale. So now that we know Docker packages applications into containers, the next question is what happens when there are hundreds and thousands of containers? Well, we also have to know who starts them, stops them, restarts them, and balances traffic, and who keeps them running. So that is where Kubernetes comes in. Kubernetes helps manage containerized applications. So this makes sure that your application is running properly, scales it when traffic increases, restarts it if something fails, and helps manage deployments. So for beginners, Kubernetes may look difficult at first, but if you understand Docker properly, Kubernetes becomes much easier. So at this stage, learn pods, deployments, services, namespaces, config maps, secrets, ingress, and basic troubleshooting. You should also learn to use the command line because Kubernetes work is often done through commands. And the Certified Kubernetes Administrator exam is a serious certification because it's not just a theory exam. The Linux Foundation explains that CKA is an online proctored performance-based test where candidates solve tasks from command line into a Kubernetes environment. So for beginners, do not make CKA your first certification. First, learn Docker and then Kubernetes and deploy at least 2 small projects. After that, you can prepare for KCNA or CKA depending on your confidence level. So now that we understand how containers are managed, let's move on to another powerful DevOps skill, and that's creating infrastructure automatically. Now imagine your company needs 10 servers, 2 databases, networking rules, load balancers, and storage. So if you create all of this manually by clicking buttons inside a cloud dashboard, it will take a lot of time and it can create mistakes. Infrastructure as a code solves this problem. So this means you write configuration files that describe what infrastructure you want and what tool creates it for you. Terraform is one of those most popular tools. So with Terraform, you can write code to create cloud servers, networks, storage, and many other resources. So now imagine your company needs 10 servers, 2 databases, networking rules, load balancers, and storage. So if you create all of this manually by clicking buttons inside a cloud dashboard, it will take time. And it also can create mistakes. So infrastructure as a code solves this problem. It means you write configuration files that describe what infrastructure you want, and the tool creates it for you. So Terraform is one of the most popular tools for this. So with Terraform, you can write code to create cloud servers, network storage, and many other resources. So this is important because DevOps is not just about deploying code, it's also about creating and managing an environment where the code runs. HashiCorp says that Terraform Associate certification validates foundational Terraform knowledge and skills, which makes it a useful certification for learners who want to prove their understanding of infrastructure automation. So at this stage, learn Terraform basics like providers, resources, variables, state files, modules, and how to apply and destroy infrastructure safely. Then start with a small project like creating one cloud server using Terraform. Then, creating a complete setup with networking, security rules, and storage. So once you understand Terraform, your DevOps profile becomes much more stronger because companies want people who can automate infrastructure and not just manage it manually. So now that we know how to create infrastructure automatically, let's look at the advanced DevOps certifications and when you should attend them. So once your basics are strong and you have a hands-on practice with cloud, CI/CD, Docker, and Kubernetes, then you can start looking at advanced DevOps certifications. So this is where certifications like AWS Certified DevOps Engineer Professional, Microsoft Certified DevOps Engineer Expert, Google Professional Cloud DevOps Engineer, Certified Kubernetes Administrator, and Terraform Associate becomes more valuable. But here is the important point. Advanced certification should not be your starting point. They should come after you have built a practical skill. So if you directly jump into advanced certifications, you may understand some theory, but you will struggle when you have to solve real problems. So start with advanced certifications based on your career goals. And if you want AWS DevOps roles, focus on AWS. If your target company uses Azure, focus on Azure DevOps. If you want cloud native roles, focus on Kubernetes. And if you want infrastructure automation roles, focus on Terraform. So don't try to complete every certification at once. One strong certification with hands-on projects is better than 5 certifications with no practical work. So now that we have covered all major certification stages, let's bring everything together into one simple roadmap. So now let's connect everything into one clear beginner-friendly roadmap. So first, start with Linux, Git, and basic networking. So this is your foundation. Without these basics, every DevOps tool will become difficult. Then move into one cloud platform. You can choose AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud depending on your career goal. So don't learn all the three together in the beginning. Pick one and go deep enough to understand servers, storage, databases, networking, security, and billing. After that, learn CI/CD using Jenkins, GitHub Actions, GitLab, CI/CD, or Azure pipelines. Your goal here is to understand how code is automatically tested, built, and deployed. Then learn Docker so you can package applications properly. Once Docker is clear, move to Kubernetes so that you can understand how containers are managed and scaled. So after Kubernetes, learn Terraform so you can create infrastructure using code instead of manual steps. Then learn monitoring tools like Prometheus, Grafana, CloudWatch, and Azure Monitor because DevOps does not stop after deployment. You must also check whether the application is working properly. So before we move on, let me share something really exciting with you guys. Now that we have understood the complete DevOps certification roadmap, you might be thinking, okay, now I know what to learn, but where do I learn all of this in the right order? And that is where Simplilearn's AI-powered cloud computing and DevOps certification program in collaboration with IIT and Pravartak can be a strong choice. So this program is highly relevant because it covers the same journey we discussed in the roadmap. Cloud foundations, DevOps foundations, version control, CI/CD with Jenkins, configuration management with Ansible, and Terraform, Docker, Kubernetes, monitoring with Prometheus, and DevOps on AWS. And the best part is that you're not only learning these tools separately without direction, you're learning how everything connects in a real DevOps workflow. Code goes into Git, Jenkins builds it, Docker packages it, Kubernetes runs it, and Terraform creates the infrastructure. Monitoring tools also help whether everything is working properly. So this program also includes hands-on labs, practice exercises, and capstone projects, which are very important because DevOps is not just theory. You need to build, deploy, automate, monitor, and troubleshoot real workflows to become job ready. So if you're serious about building a career in DevOps and you want a structured path to learn cloud automation, containers, monitoring, and modern DevOps practices, this program by Simplilearn in collaboration with IIT and Pravartak is one of the most relevant options to explore. So the certification order can look like this. First, take a Cloud Foundation certification, then choose one Cloud Associate level path, then learn CI/CD and Docker, then move to Kubernetes or Terraform, and finally attempt advanced DevOps certifications. So a simple 6-month roadmap can look like this. In the first month, learn Linux, Git, and networking basics. In month 2, learn cloud fundamentals and prepare for one beginner cloud certification. In month 3, learn CI/CD using Jenkins or GitHub Actions. And in month 4, learn Docker and build container-based projects. In month 5, learn Kubernetes Basics and deploy applications. And in the 6th month, learn Terraform, monitoring, and building final projects and prepare for the right certification. And remember this clearly, certifications can help you get noticed, but projects can help you prove that you can actually do the work. So start simple, build step by step, choose one cloud platform, practice with real projects, and then use certifications to prove your knowledge. To wrap it up, DevOps is not something that you master by jumping directly into advanced certifications. You need to build step by step, starting with basics like Linux, Git, and cloud, and then moving into CI/CD, Docker, and Kubernetes. And finally, the right certification path. The key here is simple. Learn the concepts, practice with real projects, and then use certifications to improve your skills. Subscribe to Simplilearn for more such insights and check out our related videos to continue your learning journey.